my phone is going to handle here, because we need to stream consistently to gain traction and competence. YouTube, what's good? We're live with TJ and we're here on a podcast we've actually been postponing for only God knows when. But yeah, we're talking about life, before life and after life, as you've seen from the title. You know, we're here to have a discussion on what happens before and after life. Let's really get to a conclusion on some stuff. Let's enjoy this podcast.
Yeah, so guys, we'll start off with the term life. Actually, let's start off with that. The term life. Let's be definitive here. What is life? I remember Oba is not here, man, but I remember if you guys remember, our last podcast was on what was it? What was the title of our last podcast again?
Our last podcast must have been on.
Yeah.
What was our last podcast on, guys? I really can't remember. What was it on? We talked about, guys. We talked about abortion.
Sorry, guys, what do you say?
It was abortion, right?
Yeah, it was something to do with like abortion and stuff.
Is it legal or not?
Yeah.
Should it be legal or not?
Should it be legal or not? Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And then I think the topic of life, right, came up then. Because Oba was saying something about the
Oba gave us the last topic.
Biological definition. But if I Google what life is, right? Life here is, the definition is the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity. So life basically has to do with existence and growth, right? So in existence is not, there's no life. Something that is inexistent doesn't have life, and something that is existent has life. That's what life is, existence. So we start from there. So we've kind of said, okay, life is what's it called? Existence. Now, I think also when we're talking about conscience, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this wasn't the last podcast, but
this was with Kachi on a fortnight.
Yeah, we talked about conscience. I wrote that down as well. So, what is conscience to you, Uzom? Like, what do you think conscience is?
Conscience is the ability to think, feel, and respond to stimuli. In a sense, it's like to feel matter, basically. To respond to stimuli, basically. But we need to Google that up, please.
Yeah, I'm googling it up.
Yeah, please Google that up. But conscience is because people also say conscience is like, God talking to you and stuff like that.
Yeah, conscience, a person's moral sense of right and wrong.
Okay.
Viewed as acting as a guide to one's behavior. So synonyms are like moral sense, a still small voice, morals, standards, principles, ethics, right?
Ethics.
So that's what conscience is, right? So conscience is intrinsically linked to life, I'll presume, because they're saying here it is a person's moral sense of right and wrong, right? So that means for someone to have conscience, they have to be a person. Because I think we also talked about like, does a baby have conscience? Like, or does, like, obviously you can't have conscience unless you're a human being, right? Because you have to have conscience, as they've already defined, is the ability, or is a sense of right and wrong, and you won't know what right and wrong is until you're a human being and until you're in the world, and
it can be affected with who you live with, what you grew up with, stuff like that.
So,
but I also feel conscience is not really, people will say, what of someone that grew up in an environment where stealing was actually a good thing, right? But I feel conscience is that thing that no matter what in your head, even if you're stealing, there's still this voice in your head telling you, why are you doing this? You get me? So I know that it might make, depending on your environment, right, you might be able to ignore your conscience to a good degree or listen to it to a good degree, but the conscience is still always it's still very, like, it will lead you in the right, like, path most of the time. You get me?
Yeah, like it guides you,
like I did.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I did anthropology in secondary school, and they were talking about, like, there are different types of consciences and stuff like that. There was, what I remember was lax. There's one that we call lax conscience, It's just you're just I don't know how to describe it, but I know there are different categories, and depending on the environment, you can have some, disorders and all that. Might be able to search that up.
Yeah, correct conscience, erroneous conscience,
Yeah.
certain conscience, doubtful conscience,
There lacks there.
conscience,
I still remember the high school
plus
stuff. Holy.
conscience, delicate conscience.
Yeah. Anthropology. Shout out to Mr. Sebastian, the VP then.
Correct conscience tells us when something is a good. Anyways, we're not doing, but yeah, we just wanted to get the sense of conscience. We know there are different types of conscience and stuff like that. But so we've defined life, we've defined conscience, right? Those are two important definitions. So life is existence, growth, reproduction, right? Conscience is a guide to right and wrong. Like, so the last definition I want to have here is the natural law. I don't know if you've heard of natural law, guy.
I've heard it before. What's it about again?
Yeah, the natural law is basically like conscience. But it's like everybody. The natural law is. Let me just. Is a theory in ethics and philosophy that says that human beings possess intrinsic values, right, that govern their reasoning and behavior. So the natural law maintains that these rules of right and wrong are inherent in people and are not created by society or court judges. So for instance, killing, right? Everybody, if a baby, like every single child, sees someone else stabbing another baby, that baby will feel like, oh, this is like, that baby has life, I have life, but you're taking away that life. So that there must be something wrong with that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like everybody sees certain things as okay. There might be arguments for but killing is some people see killing as okay. But my point is that there are things that everybody sees.
Yeah, everybody like feel.
Yeah, killing in general. If there was if not for wars and stuff like that, killing in general would be considered like a bad thing because you don't want to take another person's life, right? Or steal, like, let me not say stealing, but like you guys get like
I think I understand what you're saying. Like,
yeah,
no matter how bad your upbringing was, there's still that sense of what is good and bad in your head. So no matter how I think that's what you're
human beings are not taught natural law per se. Instead, we discover it by consistently making choices for good instead of evil. Some schools of thought believe that natural law is passed to humans via a divine presence.
Guys on Insta, we're on we're on YouTube. We're live on YouTube on Lovegate also. We're having a podcast with TJ. Unfortunately, I can't stream it directly to Instagram because I don't know how to yet. So if you come in, just make some noise and join the YouTube podcast. All right.
Examples of I'm just looking for something. Yeah, examples of natural law.
Natural law.
But you guys get what we're saying. Like, you guys get what we're saying in terms of natural law, like things that without religion, like irrespective of religion or irrespective of culture, everyone will agree as human beings that
this is
so those definitions are going to be important because they're going to be intrinsically tied to what we're going to talk about like now. So before life now, like we know what life is, existence, right? So now before existence, what was there? Like what was before existence? Like
yeah, that's the question I and Kachi and you had on that game, and I was like, what actually happens before existence? Because
man,
think about it. Just think about it. What are the odds that both of us are here today? Like, why was I the one that made it here? Out of first off, you have like how many billion sperms that race to the ovary or eggs, whatever they're called, and plus the odds of giving birth and maybe your parent dying or you dying in the womb and all that. Like, why? First off, then also, where was my sense of reasoning before like where was my brain? I won't say brain forms, right? Where was my, because there's a body and there's spirit, right?
Yeah.
I
have that written down. So
where was my where was that my sense of spirituality when I wasn't there? It's not like I have the answer. It's like it's a question. Like, where was it? Because apparently, if I die, I'm going to hell or heaven, right? So, how did I just spawn out of nothing I know he breathed life. He breathed life. He took my reboot card or something. I don't know. But yeah, so this is not Call of Duty now. How did I spawn into the game? That was my question here.
I think as a starter for before life, after life, I have some things here. So I have like biologically and spiritually, right? There are like two different things that we have to touch on. So I think last week we talked about biologically, like, you know, okay, before life, biologically, we know like the sperm, the egg, we know all that from study and from research and, you know, from looking at the world and science and all that kind of stuff. So biologically, I'm sure we understand how we came into existence as human beings. But then I think the main focus is like the spiritual side of things. Like before the whole biology, like I always say like everything has to have a beginning, right? I mean, everyone has a different opinion on this, I personally believe that there was a starting point of everything. Like for instance, certain religions such as the Bible and stuff say, okay, there was a creator God who created heaven and earth, and he said let there be light, and there was light, and he was the beginning of everything. Like God as a being was the beginning of everything before life, and like the definition of beginning is God. It's not like God came out of something, but God was but then people will be like, that doesn't make sense, because there has to be something like, you know, there's like a line or something. There has to be like what can just be? There has to be like, what were there no other gods or something? You know, people have this kind of questions and thoughts. But it's like,
and I can't blame them for the thoughts, because
because
we don't know too. We actually don't know. Like we just believe. We just believe, and also we know there's something higher. That's some people don't believe there's something higher, but I think most people can obviously be like, there's like, it makes like
when you say I'm going to everything. Every time we say stuff, I'm going to challenge us on our words, because we have to be very precise. And when you say we know that there's something higher, right?
I heard it's been proven. I've not seen, but you've told me about, like, you know, someone actually came, like, did some I don't know what he did, but he figured out that, oh, there's God through some procedures or something. I don't know. You told me something about that.
That's what you're saying. But
so
again, the point is like, okay, we know that there's life or there's something before, right? But all that knowledge is just tied to our mind. If we go into philosophy, I think, who was it that said, was it Descartes that said, the only thing he knows, I think in his he did, like, he was a mathematician, right? So he did it, like, he was trying to figure out like this whole thing of, you know, spirits and mind body, like dualism, like we're talking about, right? And he was like, the only thing he knows is, I think, therefore I am. Cognito, like, I can't remember the thing, but what he said is like, the only thing he can know for sure that is certain is that he's a thinking being. Because I don't know if you heard of methodic doubt, but basically methodic doubt is like, you can doubt everything on earth. That's what Descartes believed in, that everything is doubted, because as we're born, everything we're told, everything we know is what we're told. Every single thing, like teeth. I know this is my teeth because I learned in primary school that this is called teeth. Like, I know this is me because I learned. So everything we're told is what we're taught. But like, the only thing he can know for sure is that he's a thinking being, because he constantly thinks, you know. And so I think that's like a very important thing. Like the fact that we think allows us to think of so many things, and, you know, that's another way, you know, we can talk about.
I remember I can't remember what you. Oh, sorry.
No. Go.
I can't remember what you were saying once. I remember there's one question you asked me. I can't remember right now, but there's one question.
How do you know something, right?
The thing twisted my head, and because we got to. You asked me if the time is 3. The clock stuff. And from that conversation, we went on to something else. And it was just like, you were trying to question if that one made me, you know, it was just twisted in some way. I can't just remember, but you said if the clock is 3 o'clock, if the time is actually 3 o'clock, and my clock doesn't work, or it stops working, you get, how do I know if the time is correct? When the time is actually 3 o'clock, how do I know if I'm correct? You get me? So
in terms of knowledge now, I think because when the only reason we're going to this topic is because I asked you, like, you said we
guys on Instagram, we're live on YouTube, Love Gator. I can't give you guys this perspective because it's Instagram, man. So you guys join on YouTube. All right. Sorry, TJ.
But so talk about the whole knowledge thing, right? I learned philosophy, like, knowledge is, so many people have different definitions of knowledge, right? But the main one I took was JTB. Like, knowledge is justified true belief. You have to have there has to be justification for it, in the sense of like it has to be justified by reality. So for instance,
Science.
by reality in terms of perception, for instance. So like we know, like I know this is a pen because I see. Like that's the main, like one of the main things of knowing things is perception, especially for things you like see, right? So if you see something, you know it is there because you see it, right? It has to be true, and you have to have a belief about like you actually seeing it, because you can see this thing, but you might not believe that you actually see it. Like, if that makes sense. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you can see something,
Yeah.
but you might not believe that what you're seeing is actually there. Like there are some people that believe like we don't actually see anything. Like with vision, there are some people that are rationalists. They think like everything we see, we're envisioning it in our mind. It's just messed up, man. It's weird. But
In our
anyways, we're just going
mind.
on a tangent.
Yeah,
We're going on a tangent.
that's some intricate stuff I
Yeah.
I need to get
So
into.
let's go back to like the before life stuff. So like we talked about biology and spiritually, right? Biology,
Mm-hmm.
we know biology. Spiritually is where we have to focus on now.
Like
So
because yeah, sorry. I wanted to say like think about like me. I had a brother, right? An older brother. You know, he died maybe during birth or something. All I know he's not here now. So like
sorry,
is that the end? Yeah, it's fine. Is that the end for him, or does he like he's teleported to somewhere? He's probably alive somewhere, man. But in another body, like that's one thing. He's probably alive somewhere.
yeah.
But
Hold on. That's like afterlife. Like let's just finish.
is
Like,
that
before life.
afterlife though?
Yeah, because you said like he's probably alive. Like we're going into like after. I don't like. I want to start with like before life. Let's
Okay,
like
okay.
finish on before life.
No, I was trying to ask. Basically, I was trying to ask. What of people that don't come into life through the vessel they are meant to come into at a particular period in time? Energy is not is never created or destroyed, right? So he has
That's what we know from Earth, by the way. We know that from Earth.
all we are talking about here is what we know of, my guy. So
Fact,
even like what we're pulling off, so we have to just go off what we know right now. Except there's any spiritual you get me. So yeah, like think about it now. Is that the end of it? For it's not the end, because energy is transferred. It cannot be destroyed, right? So he's probably transferred to someone else's womb, man. Some e-transfer went on, and the guy is probably living. I don't know, man. It's just weird. Like life is just. You get me? Like there's just so many things that could have gone wrong. Like why am I here today? You get me? Like why am I here?
Like
today?
there's just so much stuff. And then if we start with like, okay, I have some things written down like the creator, the creator, right? I always because I'm religious myself. I'm also religious. Like we're both Christians or both Catholics and stuff. Like we know about God, we know about the Holy Trinity and everything. But if you actually sit back and peel the layers and you're like, okay, it's a mystery. First of all, it's a mystery. Like we can never, and that's the thing. I think as human beings, we get to a point where we just call things mystery because our mind cannot fathom like the infinity of ideas that actually like there are so many ideas, just like chess. Like there are so many ways
So
to
many
checkmate
moves.
someone. Like so you only have to say, okay, this is a mystery, because that's what I think. I think personally, I think before life, again, this is from my own small brain. Because in philosophy, there's this thing called like we're all modes of God. We're all modes of the substance, right? Like we believe that God is like the substance, and everything is
Connected.
a part of God. Yeah. So we can't have the full definition or the full overall perspective on things. But from what I know, is like, what was I going to say? What was I saying? I was saying something.
You were trying to say we are part of God, right?
Yeah, but I was saying something.
The main idea you were talking about.
Yeah, I've forgotten. But anyways, what was I trying to say? Come on. Yeah, my point was,
there we go.
Who is this creator?
Who made heaven and earth?
What kind of, how would a spirit create a body? Like,
yeah.
Can you think of that?
How would a spirit breathe life? Breathe air. Yeah. Are you Andrew Tate? Like, breathe air. How?
Like it's just weird because we're saying God is a spirit. God is not a human being and stuff like that. Okay, or like we'll call it God for now. It doesn't have to be a religious God. God just means the beginning of everything. For everyone watching, like, so how would this substance or this God make two people and make them in a certain way? Like, what kind of what kind of vision did that guy have? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird.
That was part of the
to think
marvel
before life,
of the-
man. It's just so weird, man. Just
This topic is definitely not a topic we can speak
this topic is beyond
intellectually
us,
on.
man.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just a free discussion if you ask me, because there's nothing I want to say that I can say, oh, this led to that, that led to this.
Exactly.
You get me? So it's just a
I never know anything. Like,
but yeah.
and then another thing I always have, right? I know
Mhm.
this might not be related before, but like, see the way both of us are looking at each other and
Mhm.
talking, right? The people that are actually talking, we cannot actually see the person talking.
I beg, stop. I beg, that's where it stops for you, man.
No,
That's
like, what
where-
I mean is, like, we can see ourselves, right? We can see our face and our body, but there's something inside us that's talking. Like, our
I
vocal
beg, I said
cords.
that's where it stops. That's where we halt you right there, homie.
I beg,
Please, our vocal cords are working together to make us speak.
speak exactly.
Yeah,
but
there wouldn't be
yeah, it's
speech.
separate parts.
There won't be speech. Like, maybe the spirit can control what I want to say through those vocal cords, right? But, you know, saying that my spirit is talking, I think that's what you're trying to say. Like, the spirit build inside is what is talking, not me. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you're trying to
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
right? No, that's just that's kind of
But
ridiculous.
this is so another point, the spirits. That's point two. So we talked about the creator. Like, we can never understand the creator because the creator is
Mhm.
just beyond us.
That's great.
The second point I have here is the spirits, right?
For injuries.
So now this spirits and spiritual, you always hear spirits.
I always used to put spirits in my injury.
exactly methylated spirits or whatever
Very
it's called. Like,
important to renew the spirit that has been chipped off.
what is this like spirit, man? And if there is a spirit, because we talked about conscience, the spirit's kind of linked to conscience that we defined earlier.
Mhm. The spirit.
This right and wrong. For instance, like when we're children, right? Like if we did something bad, like if we did something, we do things with like when people are not watching us and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Things we want to do and stuff like that. So it's like this right and wrong spirit or this conscience has to be rooted in something. Can you see what I'm
It's,
saying?
yeah, it's rooted in our biology, actually,
Mhm.
because you know Adam and Eve, right? They did the same thing when God kept them in the forest, and in the Garden of Eden, and told them, "Hey, don't do this, don't eat this, eat that, eat this." You get me? So when God left,
Yeah,
I don't know how God left, but God left.
God
left.
left. He said, I have to take a
You get
break
me?
from
Let
it."
me test these guys. And they thought they were smarter than themselves. And they did what was contrary to what God said. So that pattern has, because they are forefathers, like, so that pattern is already like in our biology. That's the only thing I can think of right now. I don't know.
Because
That
like
makes sense.
it's linked to like what are you talking about now? I'm just remembering like what we talked about, the natural law. Like as human beings, all of us, even since our ancestors, even since Adam and Eve, we did things that we knew were not right, but we did them anyways. Because like that's why there's something about the contradiction between the spirit and the flesh in like most religions, and
Yeah.
that's another dynamic, another like whole
Yeah.
dynamic, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, like I personally believe like the spirit and the flesh or like and our body are they are intertwined, but they are two different
Entities.
energies. Yeah, like and entities on their own that are very hard to like as human beings we can only control. Like our flesh is what's it called,
Our physical form.
our physical form, yeah, but like the spirit is like something beyond us, and it's so hard for us to actually like understand it or
Grasp,
like
yeah.
put them together. So
But
That's
all
just-
we know is they
That's
both
fine.
work hand in hand. Like we watch Nedu telling us that if there's an apple here,
apple, yeah.
it's
Say apple 5
envision
times, yeah.
apple
This time,
20 billion. We need money. This hand is heavy now. There's money coming.
there's money
But yeah,
there,
man.
You
But yeah, man.
slap it off.
You need
And it's
to.
gone.
No, I don't need to slap it off. I need that for life. We need the money.
Okay.
But yeah, man, it's something that honestly, because think about it, who started this trend of morals? Like, there's a Catholic Church, right?
Mhm.
Adam died, left his kids. Of course, probably trained his kids to not do what he did, right? That's probably the cycle of,
Yeah.
you're always going to teach your children the mistakes you made and how to
Yeah.
avoid them. regular.
Exactly.
So I'm guessing that's how this stuff has been passed on. You get me? But I'm still thinking, if there's evolution, why haven't we left? You get me? If when you evolve, right? Like let's say we're apes. We came from apes. We're no more walking with four. Apes I can actually walk with.
Again, let's delve into that evolution. Like,
Yeah.
why do people believe that we evolved from apes? And what is the idea behind that? And like, do you believe in evolution? Like,
Man, it actually sounds weird, man.
fish?
It actually sounds. I can't imagine a fish turning into a human being.
A human being, yeah.
It doesn't even make.
But it's similar because if you think of like the sperm, right? Imagine us right now. We were literally liquid, like as I said, like we're literally sperm, like. But now look at us. We've grown into this. So I understand the idea.
No, but think about it. They are still apes. If I go to a zoo now, I'll see ape. So how come that ape is still there existing? And I'm here, a human like, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
This is my personal opinion, right?
Like a genetic mutation or something. Is that what you want to say?
I don't know why it sounds like. I know I'm talking about different topics, but it sounds like it's like a racism a bit, man. I won't lie, because if you think of it, like we evolved from the black apes, and now we've,
No. You're the one making it racist. That thing is a general claim. No, it's a general claim. Even in white man, they say like we all evolved from apes. It's now biology stuff. Now, come on, why are you being racist to your own self? You're the one viewing it like that.
But if you look at the evolution pictures, though, you see, no, seriously.
There's a white man. No, it's a white man he evolved into. You didn't see that. Go and check. In my biology stuff, the guy was actually light skinned. At least he wasn't black. Like he wasn't black. It was, and they are the ones. You know what's funny? They will not call us the apes, but you're actually the one on the biology book. He's a white man. He's the one on the biology book, not us. So he's actually the ape. I think they are the ones that discovered that. So they should stick to their, their ape likeness.
Well, definitely, I do believe that back in the days, the caveman stuff was.
Yeah, but TJ, I don't think it doesn't make any. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense that
it can't be apes. Because here, what I'm seeing is their hair.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what? So why are there still apes? Why are there still apes? You get me? Like, it doesn't.
I think evolution is just a troll.
Like evolution can be there, but not in that sense that we went from one different animal to the other. Like. There was always a hierarchy of animals, right? Mammals, reptiles, primates, all that stuff. You get me? So we were on a different class compared to the other animals. You get me? So this one that we evolved from, I don't know, man. They've been saying that stuff in schools and all. I don't think that makes any sense to me, man.
Another thing I want to say in terms of the spirits before we move on, because I have another point on like the human body. I think we're talking about it already, like body and soul. We're going to talk about that more now. But another thing I have to say about spirits is because I believe that in the Catholic Church, that they believe that animals don't have spirits, right? So like when we go to heaven after we die, the animals don't go to heaven. What do you think about that? Like animals don't have souls. Sorry, yes.
Animals. If we're going based off, what we've read in the Bible, animal is food, right? So if imagine food going up, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense that food is going up to be judged with me. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. People that are meant to go up are the guys that did stuff. You get me? That did stuff, had life to live, and will be judged based on the life they live. Those animals don't even have a sense of anything. First off, they are just instinctively acting on stimuli. You get me? You see fish, you're a bear, you know that this is what you eat. You eat it.
Go for it, yeah.
Then lion or something, we see bear, you know that I can kill this one, kill it, chop. You get.
Let's go into the animal kingdom for a second, right? If we look at animal nature and the violence there, for instance, like lions pouncing on deers and all that kind of stuff, and the aggression in animal nature,
the cranking of 90s.
There are like similarities between animals and human beings, right? In like reproduction,
but they're actually very similar.
Yeah,
like especially when you sorry, speak.
No, go ahead.
No, I was trying to say we're actually very similar, especially when you compare us to like mammals or what do you call it? Yeah, we're actually very similar. We share similar traits. Even you find guys trying to compare, all these people that talk about polygamy. They want to compare us with but that's where that comes from.
That's what I'm saying. So if we look at things now, because I feel like, or I think before we hear merch. I think that this creator, right? Because if we go back to the Bible, we've heard the story of Noah and the ark and stuff like that, and God, like the hierarchy of creation, like God creation. I think, yeah, let there be light first, and then, anyways, it was heaven and earth. See, like the creator created things in a certain design that we'll never be able to understand, right? And it's like, what was I trying to say? Yeah, my point is that another reason why I believe in a creator, right? And I personally believe that there was a creator is because the dynamic of things. There's some things in nature that are just so mysterious that the only way they would have come about is through actual like thinking. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, like the galaxy, bro. The galaxy,
Yeah, like,
the arrangement, then the human digestive tract, all that stuff. Like it's perfectly arranged to work in a particular order. Like
weird,
you can't just tell me that's just some evolution that just or some like some
Yeah.
cells came together and formed. Like it doesn't make any, you know, like because someone was talking about how human beings, like how animals came alive, because it started with one cell, right? An incel. But
The incel.
one cell, then by some luck, because it was not meant to be, one cell combined with the other cell and now made a multicellular organism. And from there, like,
Cool.
what kind of,
Yeah, it's weird.
what are the odds,
Because
man?
you just can't make this stuff up.
You can't make
because,
it
like,
up,
animals
can't
and
make
humans
it
are
up.
very similar, and there's a distinction. So
Can't
there
make it
has
up.
to have been the fact that we can talk, because I believe that animals. I don't know
Animals
if you
communicate.
Yeah, you
do.
watched Dr. Dolittle, right? That animal movie with Eddie Murphy. I think I don't know the name of the movie, but like it's like the guy could understand animal language. Like he could understand all the animals, like when birds are chirping.
But it was
he
in
could
the
understand
movie, not in real
It was
life.
in a movie, yeah,
Okay.
but like
Just
if you look at
making sure.
movies, right? Yeah, but we
So
hear
that
animals
guy be
barking. We hear
cracked.
dogs barking. Have you heard like dogs bark when they are spirits? Have you heard that kind of stuff before?
Yes.
Yeah, you heard that stuff. Yeah, yeah.
And they say
Oh,
dogs see spirits. I don't know if you heard that
yeah,
one.
dogs see spirits, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're
But, like,
cracked too.
there's
They have
there's
night
some
vision.
things that like I believe, man, because there are some things that are just so weird that you know.
No, the truth is, like, you
There's
know,
some weird things.
Andrew
in this
Tate
earth,
has
man.
said this stuff before, that you give power to what you believe in. You get me?
Exactly.
So, in some sense, I understand why, you know, you can believe that too. And if you ask me, I don't know, man. Is it possible?
So when
It's possible.
dogs bark, do you think they're like talking to each other? What do you think?
No, when
happens?
dogs bark, there are different reasons why they bark now. If someone is
Of
at my
course, they're
gate,
different.
knocking at the gate, my dog will bark because someone is at my gate, someone is in his territory, right?
Mhm.
And
But
what other
now
reason?
that dog barking.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let's go into animals. You know the way like animals interact with humans. They understand, like they communicate with us, and you know when we talk to animals, they understand. You know that, right?
Yes, true.
So
true.
that's weird because they don't
But
speak back.
they
to
don't
us, but they
understand. You know, no, let me tell you what happens, especially for those animals that respond to what you've done. It's a pattern. This is how they teach these animals to understand. If my, like, I think someone told me, well, that was my uncle or a vet, right? If you take a young dog, right, anytime he like blasts, takes a shit, wherever, let's say he takes a shit where it's not meant to take a shit, you would take that dog to that poop, make it smell it. When he perceives it, you give him a tap on the head that don't do this, and continue. When you do that, maybe when you do that, you now move the poop to the grass. Maybe take the guy's nose again to perceive it, and not hit the guy. Doing that continuously will make the dog stop doing the right thing.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
hear
like
you, but
repeated
my
patterns.
point is like I hear what you're saying, but the point I'm trying to make is, you know, when like you talk to animals, like sits. Obviously, you've trained them.
You've trained them.
But there are some things like you say, like there are some people that talk to animals, like they actually
The same way the animal has watched you teach it is the same way while you're living with the animal and studying. Like, you know, some people have spent so much time with animals that it only makes sense that they understand animals more than an average human being. You get me?
Exactly, yeah,
Like, you've been seeing the patterns, you've noticed he barks like this when certain things happen, so you can kind of understand it now. You get me? It's just like studying
and that's
something.
the
You get
communication
me?
thing. Yeah, like
Yeah,
the fact that we can understand between like the animal species, that's another thing that is weird, you know.
we're
I'm just
all
trying to highlight,
animals.
like,
we're all
yeah.
animals at the end of the day. So
Exactly,
I feel
we're all mammals
it's,
and
yeah,
stuff
we're
like
still
that, yeah.
connected. Like, you know, just the way you said everybody's connected to one source, right? We're still connected. You know,
Yeah.
maybe there are, just like there's a high value man and there's a bomb, there's a 304. You get me? So the catchiest lad. Well, you get me. So it's just life, man, and it's just that one connection. So we are all connected. You get me? So yeah.
Yeah. Now let's go to like so we talked about like the creator, we talked about spirits, animals, life, all this kind of stuff. I want to you mentioned something about like body and soul, you know, like I want us to go into that more because there are some philosophers that believe that in like mind body dualism, basically what that means is like
I think you've
the mind
explained
and
that to
body
me.
are one. Some philosophers
Something.
believe like like they are different. Some believe that they are
Well, one
intertwined with
entity.
one. Yeah, well, one entity. So like when we die,
It fades away with
our
it.
body dies and our mind dies.
Yeah.
Some people believe when you die, your mind is still alive somewhere, but your body is dead.
That was why
Um,
I asked that question. How will my mind be alive somewhere if when I was coming in, my mind was not alive? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when I came into this earth, right? Even while I was in the womb, okay, in the womb I had some level of consciousness. I could respond to stimuli and stuff like that, depending on the particular stage of growth I was in. You get me? But what I'm saying is now that we're full formed, we can think properly and all that. It was a progressive step. I was never this reasonable. I was never this aware of stuff. You get me? So I feel it was a gradual climb to this mind, to this level of what do you call it? Intellect. Unlike some people say, yeah, the body and so. In fact, even now, I think I just came to a conclusion right now that if you die,
okay, well, we're going to branch into like we're going
okay,
to actually this is a
yeah,
good
this
branch
is
to
the time.
afterlife.
Yeah,
No, let's branch to afterlife.
if you
Yes.
die, there's a very high likelihood that there's nothing after that, man. Like you just go and join the main source. Like, do you get me? Like it's just like you've not played Naruto, but when you're fighting in Naruto, sometimes you can charge chakra, sometimes you can expel chakra and stuff like that.
I've watched
So
Naruto though, so
yeah, so like when you die, that chakra gets absorbed by God. That's just like, I don't know, man. Like think about it, because if there was a situation where we actually had we were nothing, TJ, we were nothing before we came here, and gradually we became something. If we die, we go back to zero, man.
exactly. So now this that is actually just to what's it called? Yes. The key word I want to highlight in what you're saying is think about it, right? Remember what we said at the start, that the only thing we know is that we think, right? So the fact that we think, again, everything we're going to say is good subjective.
But why is it now
but-
we can think though?
What do you mean?
Why couldn't we think before we came in here?
Exactly. We couldn't think before we came in here because we weren't developed, like we biologically didn't have a
Meaning
brain.
we need a body to think.
Of course, body and mind, that's what I'm saying. Body and mind are intertwined.
Yeah, that's
They
what.
cannot exist
That's what I'm.
independently of the other.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to build up to. Because if body and mind needs to be connected to think, if we die, then we can't think.
Yeah, but the thing that we talked about again was conscience, right? And actually, let's another definition I wanted to talk about is consciousness, because consciousness and conscience
Consciousness.
are
Consciousness
kind of
is having life. Conscious
Yeah,
is
are kind of
what
different
is
things.
your conscience is your. You said is your
Consciousness is your judgment,
moral.
yeah, moral
Yeah,
judgment.
good
Yeah.
and bad.
Consciousness is the state of being aware of and
Having life.
responsive to one's surroundings. A person's awareness or perception of something, right?
That's what, not consciousness. What do you call it again?
That's consciousness. That's consciousness. So basically,
Then conscience.
the
Okay,
state of being
conscious.
yeah, consciousness is like being aware, being conscious of something, and conscience is your judgment of things. So what you're saying now is before life we didn't have bodies, so we couldn't think, right? That's evident. Now after life we don't have a body, like, so when we die, right? When we die, we actually don't have a body in our mind. We don't have a body, but physically our body is still there. Can you see what I'm saying?
So when we die, in our mind, we don't
Yeah.
have a body.
Yeah, like because so before we were born, let's start from before we were born. Before we were born, right? When we're small, again, when we're like in the womb, I don't think we thought. Okay, right now I don't know.
No, say no. Be logical. Like work
No,
with what.
I'm trying to be logical,
Yeah,
but
work with
right now
what you have. I know you're trying to say,
Exactly.
oh, you don't want to use the
What I
thinking
have-
factor. Use your thinking
Yeah.
ability. Think.
We have to think. We have to say
Yeah.
everything we're doing is based on our thoughts and rationale,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Rationale. So like when we're children or when we're babies, the way we thought, I doubt it was the way. I think we're. Have you heard of the word mindfulness before? Let me.
I've heard of Minecraft. Well, I don't know.
Well, mindfulness is basically
Awareness.
it's similar to consciousness, like right?
I don't know. Sounds like awareness. But check.
Yeah, it's like consciousness, awareness, all the same. Like mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. Yeah. So we were all like, my point is when we're children, right? I think we were mindful, like we're aware of our body. Do you believe that as well? Do you think that like when we're in the womb,
Ye-
we were aware of our body? Because remember, we had developed brains at some point. Obviously, we can't think that far because now,
Like I said. Sorry, speak.
no, what were you going to say?
I was going to say like I said, like once there's life, there's a progressive level at which the brain develops. You get me? But that brain was kind of still there. There's always a brain, even in the cell. There's a powerhouse of the brain, mitochondria, whatever it's called.
Yeah, but the brain. Remember from last week, the brain develops.
I mean, sorry, not even in. It's the nuclei that is actually that contains DNA and all that stuff that has to do with. Well, that's some biology stuff that I might not be too sure of. But all I know is there's a developmental stage, like it's progressive, meaning the brain gets formed from whatever the lowest level is upwards. So yeah, to whatever degree we could always respond to stimuli, or we're conscious, if that's how you want to put it.
Yeah,
But
so we're always conscious, right?
Yeah.
So are you saying we're conscious from the point where
I
the
see
sperm
where
meets
you're
the egg? This is what I'm
going.
saying.
I
Like
see
when the
where
sperm
you're
meets the egg,
going.
right? We were conscious. Were we conscious of that? Like
We
I don't
were
think
not
we were
conscious of
Yeah,
that.
we're not conscious of that. That was
But
just
but two parts came together to join. Do you feel those like the egg and the sperm? Do you feel like they both individually had their own senses?
Consciousness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now that's some weird stuff, man.
That's what I'm saying, because I believe that if a sperm, right, could swim, like
Yeah, it's Phelps.
like and reach the egg, right? That sperm. Okay, I won't say it knew where it was going. Okay, wait.
Yeah, I knew. Although it was channeled, it was channeled. There's a channel. There's a literal.
Right?
Yeah, there's a
Hold
channel.
on, let's actually think now. So
That's TVC.
I don't think it understood. It just that's
Just
what I'm
follow
saying.
the
It's all
tunnel.
biology.
That's
It
why
just went
it's
there,
just
followed
like
its path.
if you not like if you beat your meat, the sperm will not go and find somebody somebody's listening to go inside. It will be on the floor. You get me?
Exactly.
So
So it's just
you channel it.
it just comes out like so.
Yeah.
The point is, it went to its path, fertilized. From there, it started growing. Right. Again, that whole thing obviously wasn't like. I don't think there's like a sperm industry where they talk and say, okay, today so
Are they?
there's nothing
Today
like
is your day.
that. But you know
Are
what
they?
I'm
You've
saying?
done the most work. You go first.
As in, I don't think they have like
Oh,
they
God.
have roasters and stuff like that for which sperm does.
Like you're
Monday
doing,
to
like you're
Wednesday
serving
and
mass.
stuff like that. Exactly. There's nothing like that. They just do their job.
Otter boy. Oh God.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
after all that happens, right?
Mhm.
The point the point I'm trying to make now is consciousness as a child. I think in the womb we had consciousness to some degree. Like
Yeah.
when we were sucking,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
obviously I can't
There's
remember
always
now,
a
but
conscious, like from
Yeah,
the
we're always
womb, whether
conscious of, like-
before once we are in there, we had
Yeah.
a degree of consciousness till
Yeah.
we got to wherever we
So
are.
now
in life.
if you use that same logic, right?
Mhm.
We had consciousness, but it was I think it was when say like 2 weeks in when we had actually grown a body. I don't think we had consciousness when the sperm actually
No,
met the egg.
we do, and what I'm saying we do is when they meet like that, right? Think about it. How does the brain form?
Oh, I see what you're saying. What you're saying. Like we
how-
had consciousness
yeah.
in terms of the liquid form, like
yes,
the actual form. Yeah,
yes,
I see what you're saying.
that's what I'm trying to say. You get me? So because those parts are held together by
yes,
the nuclear this thing membrane.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
So there's still consciousness. You get me? But I was not trying to say so. But for me, like as we are now as men, I know women have eggs. Like that's why they say they freeze their eggs and all that. So it's like their own. It's just like you open the fridge and you see eggs in the fridge, right? But for us, do we have sperm or we produce it from scratch?
What do you mean?
Like sperm is not just sitting down there. If not, it will be everywhere, right?
We produce it.
We produce it. You get me? So I was trying to make up a claim that from the sperm and the egg joining together, it was like they split me in half, right? There was one part that was conscious and another part that was conscious, and they came together to make me. But I was now trying to remember that this sperm actually wasn't there. So the sperm now is made. Or it's secreted. It's like saliva. The sperm now is secreted. Then I think at that point we can say that fluid had consciousness.
Okay, so with this logic now, because this thing is actually going a lot, like it's turning my brain, because now I'm just thinking that imagine sperm, right? Imagine like sperm on its own, like like say like during masturbation or whatever, sperm on its own, right? That thing is actually conscious if we think of it.
Yeah.
From your definition, it's actually conscious.
Yeah, because think about it. If you take that same sperm and you put it in a frying pan, I don't know if you guys fry your sperm, but if you fry it or heat it up, right, and put that same sperm you've heated up into a woman, that sperm is not fertile. It's not going to give you any child. You get me? You've killed the consciousness in that sperm, so it can't produce a baby in that sense. I don't know if you like.
I get what you're saying.
You've killed it. Like, you know, why do people not in women and not get children? Like what is that? That means one end of the transaction is not conscious, if you ask me. Like there's no life in one of the two. You get me? Like I don't know if you're
like
trying.
I actually get what you're saying. Like so, like we've established now that there's consciousness in sperm and egg, right? So we've established that was before the body.
Yeah.
Right? So it's established.
Or we can say the sperm and the egg is still a form of body. It's still a form of. I won't call it a body. Okay, I won't call it a body.
No, you're right.
I won't call it. No. I don't want to call it a body. I prefer calling it maybe.
It's a spirit. Let's call it a spirit. No, seriously, because a body is what we see physically, like the body, or it's an embodied.
It's a cell. We can just call it a cell, man.
Yeah, because
it's a cell, like a bunch of cells. A bunch of cells.
Yeah, a bunch of cells.
But yeah, it's a body. It's a body. It's a body,
right?
It's a body.
But it's not a physical.
It's not a human body. It's not a
human
human
body, like.
Right.
But the point we're trying to make is that the consciousness did exist prior to, what's it called?
Yeah.
Prior to the actual human body developing.
Oh.
Right. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
I do. And it's nasty.
Okay, so let's take that logic now. Now let's keep going. So like, we've grown, we've come out of the womb. Now that consciousness is already in us. We're fully conscious. The difference is, right, when we're bodies, the consciousness that was in the sperm and the egg is now transferred to our bodies. Can you see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we're now conscious of our own. We're conscious of our own body.
We grew it. We expanded the consciousness. We expanded it. Both in cells and we were occupying squares. It's all about squares.
So now, if we take that same logic to afterlife, right? After when we're dead, say like someone shoots you with a pump, right?
200,
200, like a gun,
that's
right?
GG. That's why we had to take out the pump shotgun. Exactly, you can't be dying on one shot.
You can't, man. So if that happens, right? What now happens? Like, I personally believe that consciousness, right, is still there. What do you think? Because consciousness was there. So when we die, if someone shoots you, you're dead. The moment you drop dead, your heart stops beating. Your body is like dead, but your body is still actually physically.
No, your heart is kind of still pumping.
No, like say let's say your heart stops beating entirely now.
Yeah.
Like, once you're fully dead, like you're not breathing anymore. Nothing is going on. Biologically, your system is shut down. Like they've turned you off. They've shut you down, right?
Like again.
Now, that consciousness that was there before, because if you think about it, the sperm and the egg stuff, right? Your body is still alive in the, like, to other people that can see. Your body is shut down. Your body has stopped breathing and stuff, but it's actually still alive to other people that can see your body.
Yeah.
But you stop breathing. But that consciousness that was there in the sperm and the egg should still be there. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I would say no, because shooting that person destroys the link that was put together with you. You get me? Like, there was a fusion, right? It's just like
I hear what
it's just
saying,
like this pen, right? This pen has this shape, and this pen is this pen because it's this shape, right? So if I break this thing now, this pen is no longer the pen it was.
Yeah, but the pen still consists of the constituent part.
But it's not the pen.
It's not the pen. It's not the shape of the pen. Yes,
it's not.
When you say the pen, right? When you say
this particular pen, this particular pen, this one, if I break this particular pen in half right now, right? First off, when I break it, some of the parts splatter around the room. Some of the parts can be put together, but maybe with some extra parts to solder it in and stuff like that. You get me? But this pen, as it was,
I actually like this now. I actually like this because I remember in philosophy we did something like this, right? If you think of a candle, right? Candle wax. I can't remember the exact example. Oh my god, I've forgotten this example, but I think it was it Descartes that talked about something like this, that the senses, right? Everything we do is based on our senses, right? So imagine a candle wax, right? Or a candle. A candle and a candle wax are the same thing, only that the candle wax is melted. Just think about that. So a candle, right?
They're not the same thing. A candle and a candle wax. Let me tell you the difference from my own perspective.
Like imagine a candle, fully standing.
A candle.
If it fully burns down, the wax is still the candle, but it's a different form of the candle.
The wax is not what they call the candle, though. The candle is a composition of the wax and that thread in the middle. That is what a candle is, right? So it no longer becomes a candle. If you take that thread out and it's still solid like that, that's not a candle. It can't give you light.
No. Yeah, I know.
You get what? That's what I'm trying to compare it with. If you break this thing, if a piece of this thing gets missing, gets broken, gets severed, it is not that thing anymore. It can be a version of.
I agree with you, right?
Yeah.
But my point is that if you break this pen in half, like you're saying, you break your pen in half, right?
Although pen, you can't really compare a pen to a human being, but carry on.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, you can. But let's just say you break it in half.
I was trying to explain, but yeah.
The pen we're talking about, the reason we call it a pen is because of the shape of the pen.
There are ball pens, there are stylus pens.
Besides how we see the pen, right? Imagine we break it now. We don't see the same shape, same size and everything.
The pen doesn't become that pen. It's not longer the pen we
already
made
attributed this particular length and stuff to what a pen is. Now, when we break the pen, right?
The pen is.
Yeah, when we break the pen, what we attributed to a pen is no longer the pen, but we know that the pen is still the pen. Can you see what I'm saying? It's still the pen, but it's not the same thing we call a pen. Can you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Imagine, okay,
but I think
imagine I break this pen now. Imagine I break this pen now, right? Say everything shatters on the ground and everything. If I gather all those stuff together and put it together, right? Every single part, is that the pen or not? Even if it's not the same shape.
If we're talking about an actual pen, a non-living thing, right? That is kind of still the pen. That is still the pen. But if we're trying to relate it to human being. That's why I'm telling you. Well, because that analogy was actually used to explain this thing I'm trying to talk to you about, humans, right? So in that situation, comparing it to a human being, it's not a human being anymore, because when people die, I've heard of even people trying to, bring people back from the dead and all. You're not bringing back the same person. Maybe the person's body can now move. I don't know what you've put in the person now. The person can move. Maybe robotics or something. The guy can move. But that's not a conscious human being. Or even if...
So you are saying that, basically your point is that when a human being is dead, they don't have consciousness.
It's gone.
But you said before they were a human being, they had consciousness.
I said before they were... I asked you that, how come, what was our consciousness before we were human, right? Then we now came to the claim that during that fusion, when the zygote is made, we have consciousness at that point. So before that point, there was no consciousness for that human.
No, but you're the one that said the sperm and the egg on their own are consciousness. Remember you said
that is what I said, but they are not my consciousness. Remember,
why didn't know your consciousness?
They are not my consciousness because they're not fused to make a human being.
Okay. So when they are fused, they are
they are my consciousness.
Okay,
yeah. You get now. Yeah, it's some trolling, man. Like, well, that's how. That's.
Okay, but let's use the same logic, right? Because I hear what you're saying. I'm trying to think now. Because if I die right now, right? Because let's look at the closest form to death as we're alive, sleep. Let's start from sleep because we have to take the closest form to things, right? When we're sleeping, right? The fact that we have dreams, right? Wait, for one second, my camera is that's more shit. The fact that we have dreams. Yeah, on my stream it is.
Oh, on your stream.
Yeah. Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. It's my stuff was lagged out.
Your own phone. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that we have dreams when we're sleeping, right, is weird, don't you think? Because imagine we're sleeping and we're still thinking. That shows that we consistently think as beings, whether we are. And the thing about sleeping, right? If you think about sleeping, we're still breathing when we're sleeping. Not like our hearts are still.
We're not
breathing.
dead.
We're not dead. We're still alive.
We're not even close to death in any way. We're just resting.
No, we kind of are, because if you think of it, right, we don't have sight, like visual sight. The only thing we have when we're sleeping is breath and heart rates. That's all we have. And
which we don't have when we're dead.
Sorry?
Which we don't have when we're dead.
Yeah, when we're dead, we don't have sight, right? We don't have anything when we're dead. Because
I would say
the
way you said you don't have sight, you still have sight. It's just like if I close my eyes now, I still have sight. I just close my eyes. Right?
No, you don't have sight. How do you have sight when you close your eyes?
I still have the ability to see.
You have imagination.
No, what is sight?
Conception.
What is sight?
There's a difference between conception and imagination. I remember this from philosophy. Conception is what we make up in our head, so you can conceive. You can conceive a like a 1,000 sided object, for instance, right? But you can't imagine that. There's a difference between conception and imagination. So imagination is like, conception is hold on, let me just look this up, because this is actually very important to what we're talking about, conception and imagination. There's actually a difference. I see what you're saying.
If I close, I still have the ability to see. Sight is the ability to see. I'm guessing, but you can Google that. Right. I still have the ability to see. It's just like saying just the way I am now. If I'm wearing a big, like Anatoly, I'm wearing a jacket, my biceps are covered up and all. Does that mean I cannot lift the weight I used to lift in the past? Because of my biceps are now concealed? No. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so like imagine is to represent without aiming at things as they actually presently and subjectively are. One can use imagination to represent possibilities other than the actual. Yeah, so we can imagine things beyond our imagination, if that makes sense. We can imagine things beyond conception, beyond what we've seen. To conceive something is to see something that we've already seen, but to imagine something is to see something that we've never seen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like if I see, like, if
so to conceive is to see something you've already seen, or create something
like that. Yeah, okay. Like in your mind. So like if you see a cow with 2 legs, you can conceive that. But to imagine like a unicorn is something that we've never seen.
That's
imagination. Yeah, that's imagination. So
although we might have seen it from a show.
Yeah, but both of them are linked to sight, because we're talking about sight, right? Sight is involved in both of them, because sight that we use in conception, right, actually helps our imagination, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because everything we imagine is what we've seen, as you said, we've seen from a show.
So how do people come up with unicorns if there's actually no unicorn?
Because they make it up, like it's like from different shapes, like a horse head or something. Have you heard of what's this thing called? I've forgotten this thing, but it's like a horse head, goat's body, and like
Yeah, a Greek one of some Greek type of
yeah, it's called a
stuff.
chimera. A chimera. Yeah, if you
Is it
Google up a chimera right now,
CHIMERE, right?
yeah,
I know that.
Google that stuff. Yeah. So it's like is a weird shit, like, but it's based on what we've seen. Like we've seen different things and we put them together. It's an
Yeah.
imagination, but it's not actually a reality
Oh, okay. I see
thing.
what you're saying. Like,
Because we see different things and our
because like
mind
a
just
rhino
imagine.
has a horn, so you can put that horn on a horse's head.
Yeah, you can put
and
everything.
I
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what you're trying to say.
But if we take that stuff to death now, right? Because again, everything we're doing with death is imagination. We can never conceive death because we can't see.
You can't die and be here.
Yeah, we
speaking.
can't die. So if we
reboot
imagine
card
death,
over here.
right? If we imagine death, I think this is a good entrance into heaven and hell and stuff like that. The whole idea of paradise, right, and stuff like that religions proclaim is basically based on like what is basically based on hope. I think
Imagination, conception, all that.
yes, everything is based on hope for a better life.
Would I
Because
call
the
it a
thing is-
better life? I think
Or like
it's kind
hope
of
for
a they're trying a
continuation
continuation of life because they're
Yeah,
trying to hold on to the fact that don't tell me if I die now it's all gone. Yeah, I think that's what this concept of, and also it also helps because I feel the concept between if let's say God doesn't exist, it also like helps morally because when you think about how I act, how I behave is going to determine if I enjoy eternal life, right? You would want to be better, so you make it into the paradise.
Yeah.
Desired world. You get me? So yeah, at the end of the day,
can you guys hope you guys if you guys have any thoughts, comments,
thoughts, comment, guys.
chat
This
in
is
chat,
not
like,
we'll
engage.
chat. I think honestly I would not engage in such topics like next because it's not really some I don't like this topic because the chat can't really question us the way they would question us if we're so this
We don't
topic
have
is
to do this one and let it go because we're going to do it next time.
because it's not really
We talked
like
about
there's
this,
no
so, like, we don't do
foundation
it.
to this one. You get me? Like we want to I prefer talking about real world topics like
This is all abstract stuff, and at the end of the day, it's
we don't
good.
know.
Like, yeah, it's good to hear different opinions because at the end of the day, everyone has their own mind. Everyone thinks differently based on what they've learned. So,
but they've been
all
talking
our
like this for ages, man. So
exactly,
it was not leading to anywhere. If I'm being honest, man. Like we're not going to.
What is leading to?
Yeah.
What, like I hear what you're saying, not leading to anywhere, but what is leading to is like I presume like awareness, like to understand that okay, you have a consciousness. So like it's leading to more self-awareness in the sense of if you think about these things, you start thinking about your life like
from that perspective.
Your consciousness more, and you become more self-aware. I think that's what it helps, but it doesn't really help anything else other than that. Like, you know.
I see. Because it's like I told my cousin, I went into an argument with her over some stuff that had to do with, feminism, all the grape and all that stuff. And it happened the first time, happened the second time. I was like, we are not actively going to change anything if we keep arguing with ourselves. Not like we're on a podcast or we're on a podcast trying to educate other people on some certain topics and all that. So I told her that, look, I don't want to have this discussion because it is not going to help either of us. At best, it's going to just give us maybe an idea of what we feel like. But when it comes to understanding me, like it doesn't really help you understand me if we're arguing. You get me? Like, so it doesn't really help. I mean, the situation. Me arguing doesn't help the situation. You understanding my perspective doesn't help the fact that people are out there doing this sort of activities to people. You get me? So that's why I'm saying like it's pointless in the sense that we can't do anything about it, and we can't even figure an answer to it. This one is even worse because we can't actually draw a conclusion on this. Like we made some minor conclusions and all that with science and all that, but even the science that we claim to know is science might have been put there by God.
Fucked.
You get me? So God is probably science, but God is not science, but God made science or something like that. You get me? So
the beginning of things,
Like,
man. It's just a mystery.
bro,
And
yeah.
this is why like everything is a mystery. Like the fact that we think, the fact that everything is just a
Yeah, that's
mystery.
why when people try to conform you to live in a certain way, to follow certain rules, it's very bad. You get me? That's why it has to be always open. Like left and right has to merge to coexist. You get
Because
me?
if you think about it, like everyone is like a god in a sense.
Mhm.
Everyone has their own mind and stuff like that. But everyone also knows that there's something supreme. So it's so hard for
That's
us to
great.
like, to like unite.
Fine, you go.
And but yeah, in terms of afterlife, another thing you were talking about is reincarnation. You said something about reincarnation. Like, do we like your
Yeah,
your older
like if
brother?
if he dies, like
Is it coming back again? Like,
is
what do you
it?
guys
Yeah,
think?
like
Do you think
I
it
don't
might
I don't even know.
man?
I don't even know honestly, because if consciousness is if what do you call it? Energy can be created or destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Right. And there's spiritual energy from what people are saying, from what we,
But you believe in spiritual energy, right?
when I'm having these discussions, man, I don't know. Like I believe like blindly, of course.
Mhm.
Like, but if we sit
Believe
down,
is a strong word, Sha, to be honest. Believe is actually a very, very strong word.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Everyone just uses.
Yeah, I believe blindly. Like if you say, oh, okay, why do you believe? I can't really tell you why I believe. Like we can sit down and have, okay, you try to explain to me why my belief is kind of foolish or doesn't make any sense. Like, atheists to come and say, oh, we Christians, there's no God and this. And we can actually sit down back and actually combat them on, like, oh, look at this, look at that, look at this. There's actually a place called Jerusalem. This happened. The Garden of Eve is here. All that stuff. You get me? So, but then again, they can turn it around and say, oh, who told you that people that lived before us didn't make Garden of Eden and all this stuff happened? It was just history that was documented for you to read. But someone came and skewed. I don't know, man. There's so many things. You get me? So many things, my guy. So it's just.
But back to what we're talking about.
Belief is belief. It's just like, yeah. Sorry, I just want to finish. Like, it's just like me believing that, oh, if I keep doing this particular thing, I'll get to where I want to be. But I've not seen it, and if I look around me, no one has done it. Yeah, no one has done it. If you look around yourself, say, oh, no one has done this. Everyone is telling you, why are you doing this? Like, go this way, go that way, don't go this way. But I'm going that way, and I'm seeing results, and my body is still pushing me to go that way, and still detesting the other part those guys are giving me. So it's like that's hope. And also, I don't think it's just hope, it's belief. It's belief, is wiring too.
I don't know if you know this. I don't know the exact script. I think it's in Romans, but it's my caption on Instagram. Faith, hope, and love abide. These three. But the greatest is love. Like, those are the like three things that actually, like, the three in Catholic Church call it like the theological virtues that like actually remain when everything is gone. Like, if there's nothing, like, we all have faith, we all hope for something, and we all want to like love one another. Those are like the three abstract concepts.
Facts. So like the topic is
I have one more.
It's a nice, funny enough, it's actually a nice topic to talk about, because it enables us to also think outside the box. Think outside the box, like, because human beings shouldn't just listen to what they hear and believe it. You get me? Listen.
That's why philosophy is important, guys.
Question stuff around you, man. Don't just be a sheep. Kachi was calling you a sheep the other day, but little does he know that he's a goat. He's goated for that.
The last thing I want us to talk about before we wrap up this podcast
and start rapping
before
we join the industry.
Last judgments and
final day.
The thing I wrote down is the concept or the idea behind the last judgment. All right. So, chat, like, why is it that certain religions believe there will be judgments based on how you act in this earth? Is it because of like what's it called? The extenuation of like the extension, of consciousness, of conscience? Because most religions, like for instance, the Christian religion believe after death. They believe in, if you know the creed of the Christian religion, they really like after death you're going to go to heaven or hell and you'll be judged first. Now, the idea behind judgments, I think, is because of conscience, right and wrong. and what you did on, like, what you did, and you know the way human beings believe there's a consequence for every action, even on earth. Like jail, if you do something bad, you go to jail. If you do
What
something
belongs
right,
to Caesar has
you
to
be
be given
praised.
to
Yeah,
Caesar.
you have accolades and stuff like that. So this concept of judgment is like a spiritual version of the human form of like the spiritual consciousness kind of thing of like, okay, your conscience is still there. I think so. To come to a conclusion, like I believe in what's it called?
Oh God, the Father
No,
Almighty.
I believe in conscience, and I believe in conscience after death. And you say you don't, right?
Conscience after. I believe in
Yeah.
it too, of course. Like what? I'm a Christian. But I'm saying like due to the conversations we're having, right? If you're telling me like based off what I'm saying, do I believe it? No. Like do I think it's like what we're having a discussion, right?
Okay, so what you're saying.
Yeah, like, but of course, like I believe I want to go to heaven. Like I believe I'm a Christian, but I'm believing blindly, not because I know. That's what I'm saying. So I
So
believe.
it's the faith, is your faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
My faith and my love for God, mixture.
yeah. But this last judgment thing is just something that I've always worried. Like I've always thought about. Obviously, it's a mystery. You never be able to understand it fully. But it's like,
What if it's like the government trying to control you to be a sheep? Like
the
saying
judgment.
saying like so they want you, they're kind of like pushing you to do good stuff. Like to live a good life, to live a better life
Yeah, live a
by
good
using the
life, yeah.
religions and stuff to kind of keep you thinking that oh if you don't do
Because
it. Because think about it. If you're a bad
fear of God
person,
is actually a good thing.
if yeah, think about it, if there was no like eternal life. If I'm a bad person, so
There's no, yeah.
so
There's
okay,
no
other than the fact that I get put in a jail cell.
There's no consequence, yeah. And the thing is, again, I don't want to get too like, I don't want to give him homily or anything, or get too spiritual. But
You're the
my point
homie.
is,
You
I
have
don't
to
know
give
if
the
you know in
homily.
John Gospel where it says like,
What do you say?
perfect love cast out fear, like, right? So you know, if you do things out of fear, like if you're doing stuff out of fear, right? That's not actually true love.
It's
Like,
not
that's
love
not
at
actually-
all.
Yeah, you're just doing it based on like the reward.
You're doing it because of the repercussions or the reward.
repercussions and stuff
Yeah.
like that, yeah. But if you do it like because you want to do it, like which is actually hard, then there's a difference. But anyways, I think this is a good place to wrap up before life and afterlife. Like we talked about it,
Extensively about
things
some
from
stuff.
creator, spirits, the human body.
It was actually quite
reincarnation.
I actually loved it. Only
Yeah,
thing is
like
it's just not productive to I won't say it's not productive, but it's just not applicable in our day-to-day life. That's the only reason I said. I'm just tracking back to what I said about it being irrelevant, but it's kind of relevant actually. I take my words back on that. It's kind of relevant to have this kind of conversation.
Here, man? We went for
Well,
an hour and a half. That's a long time, man, guys.
That's quite a long body
Love
we had
these
there.
guys. Totally.
Love you, chat.
So now we run to
Fortnite
to
it is,
peace
guys.
control.
So guys, watch this video right here if you want more discussions. It probably wouldn't be like this most of the time, but it's going to be worth your while. Catch you all in the next one. It was a W show. W, guys. Stay safe. Peace.
Peace, guys. Free Tate.